Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fleur. If you're new here, hi and welcome. I mainly make ASMR videos on a different channel, but on this channel I kind of talk about whatever I want. Today it's books. Lately it's been a lot of books. I feel like you can never have too much of that. Today I want to do the mid-year freakout book tag. I don't know if that's the official name. I want to talk about what I've been reading the past couple months. I want to give some recommendations, some anti-recommendations maybe, gossip a little, grab a drink, grab a blanket, get comfortable, and let's get into it. I'm actually sweating a lot because it's really hot today, so if I look really shiny, that's a glow, okay? It's not sweat, it's intentional. Maybe to give a little bit of an introduction as to what my reading taste is like, because I haven't really talked about that on this channel, so in case you don't watch my ASMR videos. I love literary fiction, I love historical fiction, I love a romance, anything that's poetic that will make me feel something with a strong character, I will love. I have a couple of nonfiction books here, but it's mostly fiction, because escapism, I think that kind of summarizes my taste, so you know a little bit beforehand what we're getting into. I think that the majority of these books that I've read are pretty popular, so you might recognize a couple, but they are popular for reasons. First question, best book you've read so far in 2025? Now this was a really easy answer for me, and I've mentioned it before. All Fours by Miranda July. I loved this book so much for so many different reasons. This story follows a woman who is a semi-famous artist, and she decides to take a road trip from LA to New York, and she leaves her husband and her child. She takes off on the road trip, but 20 minutes in she takes a detour, and it kind of goes from there. What I loved about this book is that it was so funny at the perfect time. It was really witty, it was very poetic at times, it made me cry, it had me, you know, looking around if no one was reading what I was reading on the page. It is erotic sometimes, it is so touching and loving, and I loved reading this. It was such a pleasure. It's definitely the book that I will be thinking about the most and have been thinking about the most since reading it, and that I actually am immediately excited to read again. I feel like, to summarize it, it's about a woman's quest for new freedom. It also says something similar in the book, but it's really about a woman in her 40s rediscovering what freedom means to her and just really rediscovering her boundaries. And it's done in a hilarious way, in a very clever way, and I could not recommend this more. Yeah, I feel like you have to read it to understand also what I'm saying, I feel like. With the people who've read it, who have commented on it on my other YouTube videos, same thing. They're just like, I can't explain it to my partner, like they just don't get it. I want them to read it so bad so that we can talk about it. I recommended it to a friend who then immediately read it and loved it, so yeah, loved this, highly recommend. Then the best sequel that I read so far in 2025. And of course I can talk about that. I mean, I have talked about it before in a vlog, but it's One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is a summer romance, and it is kind of a sequel to Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This follows Alice, and Alice is a photographer, and she's feeling really lost in her career and kind of lost in who she is, I guess. And her grandma has an accident, and Grandma's feeling really gloomy and down, and to cheer her up, Alice decides to take Grandma to a cottage at the lake where they used to go to when they were younger. And Alice had this beautiful golden summer when she was there. It was very transformative, and now in the state that she's in, she is rediscovering herself, kind of. And then she meets Charlie Florek, who is Sam's brother, who is the MMC in the first book. So you get a little bit of the characters from the first book, but it's really a standalone romance. It's one of those interconnected standalone romances that I know a lot of you guys love, and I could not recommend this more. I just had a really good time reading it. I vlogged it when I did my reading my screen time video. It's basically a reading vlog about this book. So if you're interested in more of my opinion on it, definitely check that video out and you get to see my live reactions as I'm reading it. But I think because the weather was beautiful, I had a lot of time, I was also filming and excited about that. I just had the perfect reading experience as well. The circumstances were right, and I mean, if you read a lot, you know what I mean. Sometimes the circumstances add so much to the experience. So yeah, this is the best sequel that I read this year. New releases you haven't read yet but want to. I have one on my physical TBR here. It is The Women by Kirsten Hanna. I feel like this came out this year and it's been really popular. I think her most popular book is The Nightingale, if I'm not mistaken. Kirsten Hanna writes historical fiction novels, mostly from what I'm seeing from it online. And I read my first Kirsten Hanna book in January, and I read The Great Alone, and I really loved it. It was a really good, gripping story, very emotional, very dense and moving. I feel like that is her strong suit if I'm hearing reviews on other books, but I can't say much else about it because it's the only book that I've read by her. This follows women who lived through the Vietnam War, and I don't know a lot about it, and I don't want to know a lot about it. I've really been liking not knowing too much about a book before going into it, so I'm not gonna read the back. I just know that it's the Vietnam War, and that's all I can really say about it. If you see a fly, by the way, it's just because I had the door open to the backyard, and it's the summertime and that happens, so I'm sorry, but we have some company today. I'm really excited about this because I love The Great Alone so much, and there are some other creators who do book content whose taste I feel like is very similar to mine and who've recommended this book, so I feel like it'll be a good read. I've really been wanting to read it, but I've kind of been putting it off because I don't know if I want to make myself sad reading a book. I've been sad reading other books, but a book that is set in wartime with everything that's going on in the world right now, I feel like I don't really know if I want to read this right now. But it is on my TBR for this year, so I will pick it up at some point. I just have to be in the right headspace for it. Maybe that's next week, maybe that's in 3 months. I have no idea. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have to say, I don't know. I used to be really up to date with new releases from authors that I liked, but I have not been up to date at all. I don't know how it is that I'm not really up to date anymore. I think I'm just online a bit less and reading less reviews. I'm not really active on Goodreads anymore, so I feel like I'm really behind. Because I also didn't know that Carly Fortune had released this story, and Every Summer After was my favorite summer romance. When Sally Rooney released her new book, which we will talk about, I also didn't know that was happening until it was already happening, so I feel like I'm really behind at the moment. Most anticipated books 2025. Okay, yeah, I've been excited to read Taylor Jenkins Reid's new book because I feel like she's an amazing author. It's called Atmosphere. I think it's out already. Oh yeah, Sunrise on the Reaping. But that's not books that are... These are books that are already out right now, so not what's to come later this year, so I have to check. I haven't seen anything yet, but for now, I'm good. Because my TBR is long enough as is, so can you all just hold off on writing new things so we can all get through our TBRs, you know? So no, not really specifically anything. But Atmosphere and Sunrise on the Reaping definitely releases that I'm excited to read, but they're already out. Biggest disappointment. Yeah, well, there I do have to talk about this one. So sorry. I didn't like it. I DNF'd it. So I would say it's a disappointment. Did it come out 2025 or was it 2024 end of the year? 2024. I did only start reading it this year, and I also stopped reading it this year, and I don't think that I will. Sally Rooney wrote Normal People, Conversations with Friends, Beautiful World, Where Are You? I really liked all of them. Beautiful World, Where Are You? Not as much, but the other ones I thought that were really good and well written. And unlike other things that I've read, so they were very, in my brain, they were very on their own unique types of books, like All Fours is to me. It's very much, there's nothing else like it. You know what I mean? I respect that so much in an author when they can put down such a unique story with a unique character, even though they are going through very mundane things maybe, whatever it is, I really respect that. So I really respect Sally Rooney as an author. And so I was very excited about the idea of reading her new book. This follows two brothers who've lost their father, and they're going through grief and kind of just figuring out their life a little bit. I don't know. It just didn't interest me. I didn't care about the characters. I just really wasn't interested in seeing how it would end. So yeah, that was definitely sad. This is on my Vinted if you're interested. Oh my god, I'm editing this and I completely forgot to mention the biggest disappointment of my reading experience this year. Also, I'm couch rotting as I'm editing. Don't even mention it. Frida McFadden. Not for me. Let's just put it like that. It's just not for me. I can see why people might enjoy them. Next question. Biggest surprise. Yeah, I have one for that as well. Let me just move some things around here. Book that really took me by surprise positively was Almond by Won Pyong-son. I do not know if I pronounced that right, and I'm really sorry if I didn't. I finished this very recently. I went on a trip to Geneva. This is the book that I brought, and I read it at the airport on the train, and then when I got home. This follows a boy who has a brain condition, which makes it really hard for him to feel emotions and understand emotions, so he doesn't feel anger or sadness or fear. And so, well, does he not feel sadness? I would say up for debate. But this surprised me because I was so touched by a character who didn't feel I felt so much for them. And as someone who's definitely very highly sensitive, it was very unique to read about this, because if there's one thing that I identify myself by, I guess, it's feeling a lot and intensely. And so this was very far removed, I guess, from my own experience of life. But then as I was reading it, it didn't feel that way at all. And it was so touching. There's very intense content in this book, so I think that you would want to check out the trigger warnings maybe if you feel like you're in a sensitive place, you know what I mean? Just check it out if that makes you feel better. I went into this blindly and it took me by surprise. I was gasping at some of the pages. I shed a tear, but mostly I felt so much warmth still. And so this is definitely the biggest surprise. I did not imagine that I would love it as much as I did. So I would really, really recommend this. Favorite new author. I wouldn't say that I have a favorite. I have many authors that I, like I said earlier, admire and respect or look up to even, or I'm just enamored by. I love Caleb Azuma Nelson. I love Claire Keegan. Like I said, I respect Sally Rooney a lot as an author. I love Madeline Miller, Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I definitely gained two favorites in this month. I mean, I also love Elsie Silver and I love Carly Fortune, but it's for very different reasons. So a favorite author, it's the same as picking a favorite book to me. It can mean so many things. Like, what do you want to know? In what way favorite, you know? It's like, what's your favorite food? Savory, sweet, appetizer? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? So yeah, that's a very vague answer maybe, but I definitely think that Miranda July is a new discovery whose other work I would be really excited to read. So I would say that's a new favorite. And I also loved Catherine Newman. Oh my god, this book. I had such a good time with it. I annotated quite a lot. This follows a family that goes to a vacation home on a beach, and they used to go there when the kids were growing up. And so it's a very nostalgic trip for them. The kids are now adults. It's a son and a daughter and the son's girlfriend, and then the mom and the dad. It's filled with so much humor. There are such devastating topics that are mentioned, and it's brought so beautifully. Once again, laughed out loud, shed a tear, was so touched. And I loved this main character so much, and I loved her brain so much, so definitely also really interested in reading her other books. This was her first novel, so we might have to wait a while, maybe, or maybe there is short stories. I will have to have a look. Definitely really impressed. Then newest fictional crush. That's difficult to me. I don't develop a fictional crush really quickly, I have to say. Who have I been in love with? I don't know, maybe I have to say Charlie Florak, the MMC in this book. Yeah, Charlie. But honestly, there weren't really a lot of crushes this year. Book that made you cry. Well, I feel like I've talked about that. Pretty much every book that I just mentioned has made me cry. This one has actually also made me cry because I've talked about this in my vlog, but it reminds me of my own heartbreak. Sometimes when people get treated really, really well by men in books, it also makes me cry a little bit because it's like, I haven't experienced that. I want that. And so that has made me shed a tear, for sure. This also touches on grief a lot. Anything that's grief related will make me sob. So if I'm reading about someone going through that, that'll make me cry. Beautiful things will make me cry, positive things. So I mean, I just cry very easily, guys. It's... what else? This made me cry. This made me cry. This one made me cry. I mean, I cried when I read The Great Alone, which was also this year. I cried a little bit when I read These Letters End in Tears. I didn't love the book, but it did make me shed a tear. I cried when I read Beast by Lisa Taddeo. There were definitely moments in there that made me cry as well, so I think that that's enough crying recommendations. Book that made you happy. Every book that I decide to finish has probably made me happy because otherwise I wouldn't read it. So there were so many. All of the ones that I just mentioned have also made me really happy. Oh, Blue Sisters by Coco Mellers also made me cry and made me happy. I read Wild Side and I read Wild and Wrangled, which are romances, and they make me really happy because the setting is just beautiful and I don't know, just good vibes, so those definitely made me happy. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year, as in cover, is what I'm thinking. Gezondheid. It has to be this one. This is Coco Mellers' Cleopatra and Frankenstein, and I think that this cover is so beautiful. I know that it's a very popular book, so maybe it's an unpopular opinion to think that, but just the colors... I love it. It looks so well thought out. I love the dark blue. I like the pink. I love the color of the eyes of the painting. It's a painting by Gil Button, who also did the artwork, I believe, for Blue Sisters. I love how they match. I don't know. I love this font, this 70s font on it. I love the difference that this is a different font and this is in that 70s font. What do you want me to say? I love it that this has the font as well. I think that this is really beautiful and simple, but I love the artwork on this so much. Look at her. It's beautiful, and I really think that so far it fits the vibe of the book. So yeah. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Good question. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I'm not that strict with myself and I have to finish this before then, but on my TBR this year, as in it's my intention to read it this year. Like I mentioned, The Women by Kirsten Hanna. I bought 2 books at the thrift store recently, 2 classics that I would really like to read. The first one is The Color Purple. This one is very high on my list. And then I have John Steinbeck of Mice and Men, which I'm also really interested in reading, so they're on my TBR for this year. And then for 2 nonfiction books. This is the most beautiful book that I own, but I didn't buy it this year, which is why I didn't include it in the previous question. But this is Florence Given's Women Living Deliciously. It's a nonfiction, but it's a very motivational book in feeling free as a woman. I wouldn't compare it to Untamed, but in a way, it is touching on the same themes as Untamed by Glennon Doyle, but this is just about so many of the barriers that we face as women, and it's really all about falling in love with your life and just refinding your joy, and it's so beautiful. There's such beautiful artwork in here, and she made this herself, designed everything herself. I just really think it's beautiful. So that's something that I definitely want to get into this year. I really respect Florence Given as an artist, as a creator, so I would love to actually finish the book that I bought. And then finally, as a nonfiction, I have here The Case Against the Sexual Revolution, A New Guide to Sex in the 21st Century. This is about, you know, our current dating culture and a case against the sexual revolution. And yeah, I'm just really interested in this topic, so I'm excited to get into this soon. I've just not really been in a nonfiction mood, so I might have to force myself to actually sit down and read it a little bit, you know? But I haven't been doing that because there are a lot of other books that I'm interested in at the same time. So yeah, that was quite a list, I think. Maybe you got some recommendations. Maybe you have some recommendations for me. I would love to know. I've been having a really good time reading this year. I feel like in previous years I've read so many more books, but the quality of what I'm reading right now has been really great because I've been getting to know my own style a lot more and my own preferences. I've just been picking out books that feel good to me, and it's really paying off. And I kind of didn't expect that, but last month I had 3 books at least that I rated above a 7 out of 10. I didn't really give ratings with this, but I feel like you got enough context on my opinion through my words. But that has just been such a delight. And you know, sometimes there's a book that you think will be great, but then it doesn't suit you, or it's not the time, or you're not in the right headspace, and you know, that's okay. You also don't have to like what everybody else likes, and it's also okay to like what everybody else likes. Don't let yourself get discouraged by, a book is really overhyped, I'm not gonna read it. I mean, books are often hyped for a reason, and it's fun to be able to talk about it with friends. Do whatever makes you happy. If you want to only read smut, go fucking crazy. But I would recommend a literary fiction every now and then. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just hoping that you are having a lovely time reading and enjoying the hobby, even if it's just a page a day, maybe you read 1 book a year, whatever. As long as you're happy and having a good time, then I'm happy for you. Thank you so much for spending time with me, for hanging out, and yeah, definitely let me know what you're reading, give me recommendations, and I'm excited to see what the next couple months will bring in regards to reading. I hope that I can keep up the positive reviews and the positive reading experiences because this has been so great. Alright, I'm gonna go. I'll see you in the next video. Here's a forehead kiss. Bye!